All right, in this video, we're going to be reacting to a news broadcast or a talk show covering non-monogamous relationships and the reaction in terms of, you know, how it works, right? So let's get into it.
So this morning, we're talking about love and commitment without monogamy. Shortly, we're going to meet a married couple who each have a long-term lover, and all four of them are friends. And we're also going to speak with a woman who tried an open marriage with her husband, but it did not turn out so well. But first, are monogamish relationships on the rise? And are they more common today than they used to be? Dr. Terry Conley is an associate professor of psychology at
the different types of relationships, polyamorous, polygamous, monogamish, like she just mentioned. So if you want to check that video out, I believe it's called Different Types of Relationships, is on my channel.
The University of Michigan. She has studied sexuality for the past 7 years, and her findings may astound you. And Dr. Stephen Snyder is a professor of psychiatry at Mount Sinai and the author of Love Worth Making. He's got years of experience working with couples in all sorts of relationships. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
All right, so you say don't shoot the messenger because you've been studying relationships for a long time, including non-monogamous ones. First of all, let me ask you, because I know monogamous couples don't always react well to your data. Data, I say. First of all, levels of happiness.
Stop there, right? Because it's interesting that that's the first indication that on this subject, people don't think with logic and rationality. They operate on their emotions.
The same in a monogamous couple versus non-monogamous.
Yes, and I want to emphasize that there's nothing in my research that suggests that people who are monogamous should try to be non-monogamous if they don't want to. But yes, I generally find that people who are in consensually non-monogamous relationships are actually just as happy as people who are in monogamous relationships.
And is it true they're less jealous, generally?
Yes.
Before she says that, right, it makes sense, because if a different relationship style makes you happy, then of course the happiness is going to be equal. And in fact, for those people, if they was in a monogamous relationship, since that's not what makes them happy, they would be unhappy, right?
So although I often hear people say that you absolutely have to be monogamous because people can't handle jealousy, we are finding that people who are in consensually non-monogamous relationships actually report less jealousy than people who are in monogamous relationships.
Now, the reason this is because in order to be in a non-monogamous relationship, you would need to work on your jealousy. You cannot be in it if you don't work on your jealousy. But you can be in a monogamous relationship and be jealous. It's okay.
So, I mean, that wasn't the case in our opening guest's case, but I guess it goes, you know, a person by person basis.
Well, and I should say that people in consensually non-monogamous relationships do experience jealousy. It's not that they don't, but they learn to manage it. And so they can deal with it.
Why would they be less jealous when their partner, they know their partner is sleeping with somebody else?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think one of the things is they come into the relationship as being less jealous people to start off with. And that's probably one of the reasons why this type of relationship is appealing to them. So that's one of the reasons why I say this isn't for everybody.
No, because, you know, as like...
See, and that kind of links in with what I said, in that you cannot really get into it if you're going to allow your jealousy to control you. But I also think jealousy is just an emotion. Just like she said, everyone's going to experience it. It's actually how you deal with it, right?
In the commercial break, I asked the audience, like, who would consider doing this? And every woman in the audience was like, right? Like, so, Dr. Snyder, what do you think? I mean, is this on the rise, this sort of choice?
The fact that she said every woman, right? Because if there were men in that audience, then she was just calling out the women. And even if there were no women, no men in that audience, then you could just say, well, everyone in the crowd, right? So again, there's this understanding inherently that men, you know, are generally non-monogamous creatures for sure.
It's a great question. I'm a sex therapist, so people only come to see me when they're having problems, and usually after nothing else has worked. So I see the people who are really having problems.
Yeah.
And the basic message when it comes to monogamy, non-monogamy, is you don't want to do it just because you think it's going to solve a problem. Non-monogamy is not the solution to a problem.
See, but if my husband came to me after years of being in a committed monogamous relationship and then marriage and said, I want to try an open marriage,
yeah.
I'd say what you're really looking for is a divorce or a permission slip to go cheat.
Yeah.
Denied,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
But then she would still stay with him. And this is kind of the point I'm making, that women generally know what men are like. They know that men, if they had the freedom to exercise, what they want to do, they'd actually do it. But she's not saying I would leave. She would deny it and stay with him, knowing that he's like that. And if he did do it, that's when she'd divorce him. Whereas I believe most men, even if the girl said that she wanted to do it, the guy would leave. Even if she said, okay, I won't do it then, But that's if he's a guy who's abundant, a guy that's, not really good with women, not a quality man, he might stay though, so.
So the first question. One really common situation that I hear is one person, usually the guy, wants a non-monogamous relationship, and the woman has the exact reaction that you. So she kind of gets hounded about it, and that never works. But let's say that both people are thinking about it. So we're going to walk all the way. Both people are thinking about it. The basic question is, are you happy together? Because if you're not happy together, it's usually a mistake to open up the relationship. I always say...
But my brain is stuck on that, because I feel like if you are happy together and you're in a monogamous relationship, then you don't want to go sleep with other people.
That's not always true.
Is that wrong?
That's not always true.
And the biological reason why she would feel like that is because generally women are monogamous creatures, and from a very natural perspective, there is no win for her to sleep with more people, because she can't have more than one baby at a time. So nature doesn't really promote that in women, which is why, as he said, there might be instances where the man wants to do it, but the woman doesn't, or anything like that, because she doesn't. She's good. Like, there's no reason for her to do it.
Some people can be happy together, but they're not particularly jealous souls. They're people who are kind of built for more expansive relationships, because there are a few people who are like this.
But the problem that a lot of these folks face is they are a minority, right? So you have to be okay with being a minority, because while your data suggests folks can be very happy in these relationships, it's not very well accepted.
No, it's not well accepted at all. It's one of the most stigmatized groups that I've ever had the chance to study.
And they're more stigmatized despite the fact that cheating is pretty much accepted, so much to the point where you would do shows on it. We will make jokes about it on social media. People would joke about hiding their phone or being scared to go in someone else's phone. It'll be in music videos and songs, and we'll watch a video and it will be a man and 8 women around him and all of these things. But if you do it openly and honestly, that's when it's crazy, right? Which to me is actually crazy.
People have exceedingly negative reactions to this arrangement. And a lot of times I think it's not about the people themselves, but the people who see this feel threatened. They feel like this reflects on their relationship or their choice to be monogamous. And it really doesn't.
Well, or they're worried that their spouse is going to bring it home as a suggestion to them.
And the thing is, if your partner was to do that, that means that's what they are. You're just stopping them from exercising what they really, truly want to do. And this is why I say in this society, it's enforced monogamy. It's not like, hey, monogamy is an option, just do it. If you want to do it, don't do it. If you don't, it's forcing people to go against what they really actually want to do.
It's possible too.
Because it's, when you enter into a marriage, there's a covenant, there's a deal. It's like you struck the deal, you signed onto the deal, you sign on the bottom, that's it. The deal is done. Don't go back and try to renegotiate, right? And we don't want that. Those of us who have chosen monogamy don't want anybody questioning that or throwing doubt into that. But these couples it's no comment on us.
No, they're not trying to convert anyone. With my data, I'm never trying to convert anyone. I would just encourage people to allow people to make their own choices and try to support the other people's choices as well.
And the thing is, right, the idea of supporting other people's choices isn't enough for people, because they like to force their thing. Now, it's interesting that she would say that many, let's say, monogamous people are scared that another lifestyle could be forced onto them, when they're the ones forcing their lifestyle onto the other person if they don't just allow them to do what they want.
You know that there are going to be a lot of people sitting at home watching this saying, but what about the children? Is this unhealthy for the children? Are they confused? What say you on that?
You've got the data.
So I actually haven't studied this myself, but Elizabeth Sheff, who's a sociologist, has done extensive work with this group and has found that actually the children of polyamorous parents are doing really, really well. They feel loved. They have multiple parental figures sometimes, and that makes them feel supported. They don't have a hard time with stigma just because our world is kind of crazy anyway. You know, dad's got a girlfriend or mom's remarried, and so they don't really feel like they're stigmatized that much. And they're a group that's actually doing very, very well.
I think it's also to remember, though, these people are pioneers. This is really the first generation of polyamorous people. Yep. So really nobody knows how this is going to turn out in the long run.
And literally just before he said that, I was kind of thinking that, right? Polyamory isn't actually what I would say is the natural state of, you know, practicing relationships for people, right? You know, when we look at human nature, because it hasn't been something that's been done for thousands of years. Polygamy has been done for thousands of years, but polyamory is a little bit different. And I really, truly believe and really concede that the sexual liberation movement is what's enabled this to happen. So when I say that, what I mean is, let's say condoms didn't exist. If condoms didn't exist, would you practice polyamory? I think, you know, it changes the whole context where people are relating from. The only reason you can really practice polyamory today is because, well, condoms exist. So you can exercise so much freedom.
And I think your research shows, Dr. Connolly, that this is really one of the most highly stigmatized groups in existence.
By the way, just so we understand, open marriage is when you're married with somebody and you're allowed to sleep with others, and everybody understands that. Swingers, that's when you're married, couples married, and they together go sleep with other couples, right?
Yes, yeah, basically.
And polyamory is what?
In polyamory, you're allowed to fall in love, is basically what I say. So a primary couple might decide that it's okay to have sexual relationships with others, and it's also okay for those relationships to be romantic and loving.
Yeah, so that is the reaction to that. You know, it's very interesting because I guess you could say it's unconventional for sure, but I want to know what you think. Comment down below. Let Reemus know, do you know someone that's in these certain situations? Would you do it? Do you think it's immoral, bad, evil, and all of these things? Maybe you do, you know, and that's okay. So comment down below. Let Reemus know. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.